Besides Anakin Skywalker, who obviously got first place, who else finished the Boonta Eve pod race in the year 32 BBY, and what place did everyone get? In total, there were 18 participants in the pod race, all hailing from different planets and backgrounds, vying for a chance at glory in this incredibly dangerous sport. The sport itself, pod racing, was celebrated all over the galaxy, and races were held on other planets such as Malastare and Canto Bight. This extreme sport attracts daredevils from all over the galaxy, and cheating and sabotage are accepted tactics in some cases, and the races do not stop in the event of casualties. People die in these races. The sport of pod racing requires incredibly fast reflexes, since the average speed of pod racers is over 497 miles per hour, or 800 kilometers per hour. Humans rarely possess the hand-eye coordination to compete, so Anakin Skywalker is a unique circumstance. Other species have innate advantages in these races, such as Gran, who can see more of the light spectrum than others, or Zexto, who have 6 limbs. Racers from all over the galaxy come to compete in the Boonta Eve Classic, an annual event hosted by Jabba the Hutt. Coming in second place after Anakin Skywalker was Gascano, a highly competitive Zexto pilot with a short temper. Racing in his Ord Pedrovia pod racer, Gascano competed on behalf of Gardula the Hutt, and was the object of intense betting between Gardula and Jabba. In third place was Aldar Bedo, a Glimphid from the planet Plu 2, who piloted a Mark IV flat twin turbojet. In fourth, after Aldar, came Ib E. Endocott, a Triffian from the planet Triffus. He was considered a veteran of the pod racing scene and set his pod racer engines into a split X formation. In fifth place was a Flugrian from Plu 4 named Ellen Mack, who competed in his outdated KRT 410C pod. In Legends, his real name was Cam Nail. And coming in sixth was the two-time champion of the Boonta Eve Classic, a Sneevil named Bowles Roer. Everyone else participating in the race either didn't finish, or in the case of Ben Quadranaros, an inexperienced racer from Tund using a rented pod racer, didn't even start. However, despite this embarrassing loss, Quadranaros persisted in the sport and was eventually considered fellow podracer Sebulba's greatest rival. The first pod racer to crash in the Boonta Eve Classic was Mohonic, a Gran from the planet Hawk. He was forced off the track by Sebulba in the first lap while racing through a mesa of rocks that looked like mushrooms, creatively titled Mushroom Mesa. After Mohonic, Rat's Tyrell perished in the Laguna Caves when his accelerator jammed. Tyrell was considered one of the galaxy's best pod racers, having quickly risen through the ranks of the sport, and was considered a big star on his homeworld of Aline. Rats piloted a pod racer named Scattlepen, named after a predator from his homeworld. His family had been present at the Boonta Eve and sadly watched on the camera feed as the crash happened, and Rat's son Deland grew up to protest pod racing during the Imperial era. Audi Mandrell, an air kit who was actually from Tatooine, had what was considered a legendary record-setting pit stop team. He was foolhardy and had an insatiable appetite for high speeds with blatant disregard for safety, according to sources. However, despite the status of his pit crew, one of the droids was sucked into the engine of his Exelbrock pod racer during a pit stop on the second lap, causing it to malfunction and force Audi to bow out of the race. Clegg Holdfast, an Osarian who doubles as a journalist for Pod Racing Quarterly when he isn't racing, crashed during the second lap due to suspected sabotage. He entered the Boonta Eve with his 9T9B Wasp pod racer to provide an inside report of the race for his news network. Although his fellow pod racers maintain that he is a better rider than racer, Clegg arrogantly displays a set of medals on his lapel as a testament to his racing capabilities. In actuality, during the race, Sebulba had used concealed flamethrowers on his own pod racer while next to Holdfast, thus cooking his engines and causing him to crash. Neva Key, a Zamster from the planet Zagoba, disappeared from the race under mysterious circumstances. It is said that during the second lap, he ventured off the circuit to find a shortcut and then was never seen again. However, Neva Key had actually been the target of bounty hunter Aura Singh, who likely caused his crash and was the reason she was watching the pod race. Neva Key piloted a heavily modified pod racer originally manufactured by the company Farwan and Glot. and it is speculated that the company had conspired with Aurra Sing and Jabba the Hutt to steal Nevaki's customization secrets. Mars Guo, a Bardottan, crashed during the second lap thanks to Sebulba, who had tossed a piece of junk into Guo's engine, causing it to explode and force the pod racer to crash. Guo had, for most of the race up to that point, maintained second place behind Sebulba. Teamto Pagales crashed during the second lap when he was shot at by Tusken Raiders. Teamto was in exile from his homeworld of Munis Mandel, but found fame and acceptance in pod racing. When his IPGX-1131 long-tail pod racer was shot down by Tusken Raiders, Teamto managed to survive and continue a career in pod racing. During the third lap, Juan Sandage from Ord Radama collided with a Jawa sandcrawler off course and crashed. Juan survived and ended up in the Mos Espa Medical Center. The two pod racers, Dud Bolt and Ark Roos, collided into each other during the third lap while navigating the tight canyon turn known as the Coil. Dud Bolt, hailing from the planet Volpter, was considered one of the favorites to win the Boonta Eve. Flying his Volpterine 327, he apparently flew as Sebulba's mid-air bodyguard. Ark Roos, nicknamed Bumpy, was considered a very dim-witted pod racer and employed very offensive tactics while racing, specifically intentionally bumping into other pod racers. During the Boonta Eve, he seemingly did just that, slamming his Plug 8G 927 cluster array pod racer into Dud Bolt. Both of them ended up hospitalized and developed a rivalry for the rest of their pod racing careers. According to commentary heard in the Beyond Victory VR game, Roos poisoned Dud Bolt's mother by accident while trying to actually poison Dud. His mother lived, thankfully. And of course, there's Sebulba, who crashed during the final stretch of the race while trying to sabotage Anakin. Sebulba was also considered a favorite during the race, and while he lost here, Sebulba continued his racing career, even when he fell on hard times and was banned from pod racing by the Hutts. He participated in a kind of sport known as battle racing during the Imperial era. And that covers it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching.